Hello, everyone. Hello, dear friends, and welcome in this wonderful space, wonderful safe space called Master Space. It's another episode of Master Talk, episode 4. And I am re recording this episode because I've had some technical issues with recording. It didn't record well, and I couldn't save that first recording. So, those ones that watch that live, just know that this is a different episode, but in a similar energy of what happened, a few days ago. And welcome again, each and every one of you. And if you want to feel all our non-physical friends that are present, and today we've got Isis present very, very strongly. She's been that part of myself has been present with me today very strongly, and I have felt her like never before. And we have integrated our first episode, Master Talk episode 1. We talked about integrating, our masculine and feminine so that they are not separated in like they were in duality. And that is one huge step. It was a huge step. And yet, in this new play, in this new game, the way we're doing this, there are so many different parts of us that are coming to us, that are coming through us, that really it is fun. So they're not separated as they used to be, like one against the other or anything like that. So you become whole, you are whole in yourself. And at the same time, you are so many. And just like, yes, we are Mikael, we are the many, and we are the one. And we come to you in this way easily, seamlessly, with grace, with ease. And each and every one of you is now, at least for some, at least some parts, sometimes, few times that you have really, truly, and for reals experience this ease and grace, this flow of yourself. Because each and every one of you wouldn't be here in this group, have you not? Because we are working with very clear, with very precise energies. And we invite you, Mikael, we invite you to feel the energies rather than just to concentrate on the words. Because as you know, in this new era, in this new age, and not to be confused with the old new age, we're talking about the new age. Some call it new age of Aquarius. It is a new time. It is a time where you are whole, where you are coming into your wholeness, where have you've cleared, you've done so much work to clear, to integrate, to let go of so much. And yet this clearing process is still continuing. And this year we are now in June 2021. This year has really intensified with all the clearing, with all the things that you can experience. And for many that meant, for many that have decided to stop a bit at certain spaces, and they're experiencing perhaps very intense body issues, and the body is now showing, it is now being able to really portray the energies of that moment. It is able to reflect those energies because in your body, the DNA, the very DNA has changed so much as well. So some have kind of slowed down and tried to stop a little bit. But whenever you do that, it starts hurting because once you have set this process in motion, you can't really stop. You can only go sideways. And sideways is not that very comfortable for a very long time, as you too, each and every one of you have experienced that as well. Because you try, and it's not that you're trying, you're trying to run away, but you try all these different things, and why not? You can be playful, you can sort of go forward, you can sort of step sideways. That's okay for a while, but sooner or later, and these days rather sooner, you will find that because the energies are moving so fast, they're vibrating so fast, you are not able to just keep standing, keep stepping in the same place. And now that you have awakened, now that you have allowed so many parts of yourself to be present, parts that we call soul, your I am that I am presence, they are so dynamic. They are always expanding, exploring. And so they are not happy, so to speak, to just stand still, because it is not that they're not happy. It's more like it is their nature to be moving, to be flowing, to be exploring. And so the human self, even though for many of you, you sometimes are in that space where you really don't divide yourself in the human self or this self or that self. We are talking about these parts just for these kind of purposes when we are discussing these things. And as we said before, you are one and you are many. You can be so many different things. And it is the human self who does deal with the most densest of realities, which is the physical reality. And of course, that has changed enormously. It is very light, it is very flowing for those of you, for all of you here that have done work. And for those watching later, you also, when we say all of you here, I refer to you also because you too are already here. And so, yes, the energies are happening, are they not? They are changing, they are allowing you to release the most deepest of programs, the most deepest parts of yourself that you have identified so deeply that when you come to those places where you are, where you realize that okay, this too wants to move, wants to change, you sometimes ask yourself, but who am I on the other side? Is there any of me left once I let go of this? And you always, with a great delight, you find out that yes, there is much more of you. And the more you release of who you thought you were, the more you found just how much more of you there is. So it's this continual exploration, this continual discovery. And there are, of course, you're noticing yourself as well that there are some very, very strong attributes, skills, set of skills that are very important or on an ongoing basis to be very well practiced, to be very good at it. And even though every event is quite different, the basic skill set that will serve you, that serves you in this journey, is basically the same, and you've learned and you have let go. One of them, of course, is being able to let go of people, and whether that's partners or people close to you, some people in your family, or whether it is people that you meet along the way, because you know, and you have noticed specifically in this year that people just keep going back into their own world. So they kind of come into the public, into being available for friendships, and then the energy themselves, they pull themselves away. They sort of maybe disappear for a while, and this will be happening for this year, especially because everyone is integrating, everyone is changing so much, everyone is allowing the awareness, the ability to flow, this ability to perceive these new skills, new abilities, new energies that you have. um, and you do need, each and every one of you need that alone time even more than before. And then perhaps it is not like an ongoing alone time. We know that some of you perhaps have had a year or a couple of years of what you call alone time, but now it's a more shorter. It's kind of just like the wave. You come and you go, and you come and you go, and that's very natural. Allow yourself to be okay with that, and you will find that other people are okay with that as well. Because gone are the times and gone are the days when you have to make yourself available to other people on an ongoing basis, on continual basis. Because they too are experiencing this. So don't be afraid if you have to retrieve, if you have to go into your cave time and disappear for a bit, and then when you're ready, come out. Even it could be just for a day or so, or for longer, and then you can perhaps disappear again. It is like the way you have organized your lives and the way the energy around this year has been organized, it supports all of this. It supports you in this process, in this experience rather, of this monumental, this huge change. So another thing that we've mentioned, that we continue to mention, of course, is being able to flow with things. You know, there are certain ways that you think of your life, of course, how it should be, and you know that a lot of that has changed. And for many of you, how your life looks now is not what you envisioned when you perhaps were 15 years of age or 20 years of age. And for some of you, you still are very young, and yet there was certain vision that you had before this great grand change, before this great awakening. So, and during this process, you have learned that you just have to be okay with whatever it is. You know, even if your mind has thought, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, you're now okay with it just being the way it is, and allowing the change to happen when it does, in its own sweet perfectness, as so to speak. And so this flow with just being okay with it, you know, like something, you're just flowing through the day, you're just cruising through the day, and something happens and you don't like it, and you take few breaths, and it's okay, it integrates and it moves on. You see, it doesn't place that hook into you anymore, that would take you on onto that tangent, that would awaken certain aspects, bring them to the foreground, for those aspects to take over your hours and hours of your day. So you are now pretty much okay that with that you know how to navigate this. You know how to, when that hook comes, you just breathe it in, you let it go, you allow yourself just to be soft through it, and you move on. And you do this on a continual basis, and that allows you to really flow with things. And then you realize, you come to this point where you really don't, in some ways it's funny, because it's kind of like this contradiction, where you don't really care anymore what happens, because you're so okay with it all. You realize that all is your energy, and so it doesn't matter whether it's this or that, that you don't even are not very picky anymore in many ways. Like, you know, how some people can get so stuck, oh my gosh, I have to wear this color today, or I have to wear that color. You know, none of these things matter to you anymore, because you realize that whichever color you're in, it's going to be great. You see, so whether you take this fork, now that you can choose whatever you want, because you've become much more proficient in how you're creating, now you're realizing it is that it doesn't really matter so much of what you used to think that was important. And all of those things that you decided, this is good, this is bad, this is good, this is bad, this is better, just don't matter anymore. Now that you finally really can choose, you realize that mostly it doesn't really matter, you know, because whichever way you go, whichever way you choose, whether there's that fork in the road, you perhaps come, and you know that with your whole self present, each choice is going to work out wonderfully. It's going to give you new experiences. It's going to be perfectly tailor made to you. And so you really come into this real peaceful way of being, flowing way of being, because you realize that whatever happens, and more these wonderful things happen, that all of them are wonderful, all of them are okay, all of them are you, all of them is your energy. And so this second, you know, skill is just this ability to flow. And as we explained, there are so many reasons why you're flowing, you know, because it's not because, like, the mind used to think that, okay, this new life is going to be exactly like your mind sets out to be all of those little steps in particular, down to the curtains, down to the everything is just going to be a certain way, you realize that the reason why you're flowing is because there are so many ways that all of these things, your life can come in together. It can come together, and all of them are incredibly satisfying, are incredibly beautiful, are incredibly unique, and have incredible variety. And so this complete relaxation with your life is just incredibly satisfying. And so now, not only that you are satisfied already as you are, even if none of those things happened, now on top of that, you are satisfied with the life that you have, with all of the things, the colors, the richness, the the senses, the people in it, the wonderful friendships that you have. All is so enriching because you're allowing everything to be as it is. You're using all of the things that you've learned along the way to just integrate, to flow, to move on. You let people be because you are so free with them now, because you just let them be as they are. And so they are very free to be with you. They are free to be themselves with you. So for them it is very pleasurable to be with you. And so this life works from all of these different angles, from all of these different points of views. It is all like this big symphony, you know, perfectly playing all these different songs of life. And so you can even be poetic, you can be creative, you can be artistic with things, because it is like a huge beautiful song, and the human self is like an instrument that is being played by the soul, being played by the I am that I am, in this sense that we are expressing, um, in this way. There are many technical ways that one can explain the I am that I am, the soul, the human. And that has been done in other courses by other wonderful friends of ours. So we use all of these words in this way, in a much more loose way, in a much more artistic way, in a poetic way. We're not going into those technical details anymore, not for the purposes of these meetings. And the reason why is because we want to, in this space, we don't want to be doing just points, just satisfying, the mind and things like that. But we just want to energetically just feel that richness, that wonderful sensuality, those wonderful sensual delights, and the flow of things. So, as we are talking, feel yourself flowing, feel yourself experiencing, feel yourself tasting this kind of life, and don't get caught on the technical explanations of each word, or or any term. We use it, as we said, in a very poetic way for the purposes of this space. And so another thing, you see, another next level of things that you utilize, that you use on ongoing basis, is this ability to accept new. And this is something that is not that is something that you use on continual basis. It is not just something that you do once. You see, for many of you, you had that experience when you first became aware of what you call your soul. It felt like so many times as if you were jumping off the steep cliff. You were jumping into this foggy space where there was no bottom, and you had no idea whether someone's going to catch you. And that experience, that huge experience, where you actually went from everything that was known to you until then, You went into something. You went on trust. You flew on trust. You trusted that you had wings. You trusted that there is something there that will catch you, even though with those physical human senses you weren't able to perceive them. So this ability, and because you were caught in the arms of your soul, in the arms of the I am that I am, of your greater self, of your whole self. You were caught into those arms over and over again, and you keep realizing that when you think there is nothing beyond it, all of a sudden a bigger space, a much bigger space opens up. So this ability to keep that trust, to keep stepping into something that you have no idea what it is, because every time when you step into these huge new spaces, you've never used certain senses yet that come with that new space. And so this ability to keep being in that space where you are trusting, where you are okay with it, even if you don't see beyond a month, beyond a year, beyond tomorrow, even beyond today, but you keep, because now by now you know that it all works out. You know that it's always bigger. You know that you are always even more than capable of dealing with a new reality that presents itself to you. You keep going into that new space. And for some of you, especially if you are logging in, if you are joining us from this June 2021, you know that especially in the last couple of weeks, you have had to practice this quite a bit, because what is going on inside of you, it truly is this Aquarian age. If we use that term, is real, is becoming reality. The feelings, the new feelings, the new capabilities, the new you, the new world of yourself is really becoming real. It is not only a theory. And in so much as you have experienced all of the things you may have experienced yourself as I am that I am, you may have experienced yourself as a soul. You may have had all these aha moments. In so much as you have up to now, you are stepping into, you are allowing a whole new level of this world, for the lack of better word, to be you. And you are realizing at profound levels, profound levels, how all is your energy, how all you have created. You're allowing the memories of the past, of those things that are still integrating, that are still clearing, to become whole, so that you don't just get bits of information, so that you don't just get, little bits, just to taste. You get a whole experience, but now you have the vision, also the view, or rather point of view of your whole self, not just from those wounded human parts. So regardless of how much of your so-called past you have integrated, because you are now realizing this whole new um, relationship with yourself, with time, with past, with future. You are threading, you are walking, you are allowing, experiencing such different things, and they may feel a bit confusing, a bit disconcerting. Perhaps your body may feel dizzy at times, because you are changing so drastically everything, the way you relate, because you are drastically stepping off that linear line, that timeline that had that time ticking moment by moment by moment, one moment, the next moment, the next moment, and that past being set in stone, the future being somewhere far away, if not as if not yet happened. So you are now really allowing all this to change, to shift, to move within you at such drastic way, so that the past is now, so that the future is now. They're all present. And so be easy, be gentle on yourself as these huge monumental changes are happening, are realizing themselves within you, through you. Because gosh, we are amazed. We are amazed in each and every one of you as to how fast you are allowing this huge, dramatic, drastic change to be your reality. And for in such a short amount of time, in a decade, couple of decades, even this lifetime, you have been able to come from looking at a past as something unchangeable, as some little snippets of memory, to something that is now breathing, moving, accessible in the now moment here, alive with you. And for the future that was so far away, unknown, for that to be also part of you. So these drastic changes that are happening within your body, within your psyche, within your whole self, to allow for this to happen, is quite incredible to watch, to observe. And for us who are also physical at the same time, who have our counterparts, our physical counterparts within the physicality experiencing this, we are also living this, experiencing it through each and every one of you, if I speak on behalf of the eternal selves. And so, you see, we, Mikael, we would just like to dance. We would just like to celebrate. We would just like to be dancing with you rather than talking at the moment. And we have danced already, and we might, after the show is finished, we might dance in our physical body, because we are just amazed. We are just relish in these experiences, because what a ride, what a ride. And remember, for those of you who have a couple of decades behind you, to say, to even think that what you're experiencing now would be possible a couple of decades ago. It was just such a different time. It was just, you were at that time thinking, all right, so then I'm going to be 20, and then I'm going to be 30 and 40 and 50 and 60 and 70, and I will have done the school, then I will have worked and have family, have children, retire, perhaps have a lovely retirement if I'm lucky. How different it's all changed for you, for those of you that are in let's say maybe 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. I mean, retirement is not even a word anymore. What does it mean when you are enjoying life, when you are reveling in life, when your creativity is just starting, when you're just not thinking, oh, how am I going to retire and have an easy, peaceful life? Yeah, an easy, peaceful life you are, but this peaceful life, simplicity it is, and yet it is so fulfilling. It has so many things that you have always before postponed, perhaps. Perhaps you didn't have time because your family obligations, your work obligations. Perhaps you just didn't think that you will ever be able to really live your dream. And now these dreams are here for real. Your creative juices are flowing, and regardless of how you are expressing them, whether you create your beautiful home for yourself, what a gift. How rich are you to be able to create with colors and light and beauty that you surround yourself with. not only inside but on the outside, so that it reflects who you are. So there are many, many different creative ways, creative things that you do. And this is another one of those things that is part of your life now. It is this creativity, this incredible creativity. And what we mean by that is not just that you do the painting, it is just the way that you continually create something new, and you will continually get these new ideas, and you will participate in them, whether with other people, whether on your own, it matters not. And how you define this creativity is completely up to you. But it is that feeling, that experience, when you are drawn deep inside of you and you bring out your truths and you express them in any way and shape and form, whether it's writing, whether it's talking, whether it's chatting with your neighbor, your partner, your child, it matters not. But you feel it and you get to know how it feels. It's just this creating something out of nothing, creating something out of yourself that sings to you and sings through you. And that amazing feeling when you experience, when you completely get lost in this creative process, where you forget what time of the day it is, where you forget where you are, and you just get engrossed, and these juices, the energy is flowing through you, coming up with these aha things and sparks and inspirations, and they never stop. You see, it's like you never run out of these juices, because this fountain where this is coming out from is endless, is endless. And so you keep getting new ideas, you keep doing them, you keep experience all of these things, all of these creative ideas. You, as you've noticed, ask of you to always try something new. And so for many of you, you realize that this new life is a continual learning. And isn't it funny how the world has changed to reflect that? Even people who are not into this at all, they know that they will have to, each decade of their life, they will have to continually learn something new. Nobody can just have learned something when they were 20 and stay with that. And for some, perhaps this is not easy if they are not allowing their I am that I am to be who they are. But for you, it's not only that it's easy, it's effortless, it is something that you enjoy, that is part of this zest for life, the enjoyment for life, the enjoyment in life, that you continually learn. And it is not really a mind learning, although the mind also is able to learn that. And through that, you realize that although your body is changing, and perhaps, when you get up and you look in the mirror and you think, oh, wow, I do look older. And yet inside, you're not. Inside, you feel much younger. You feel younger in what you can do. You feel younger in what you can understand. You feel younger in what you can perceive. You feel younger in what you can learn, because you are doing it from a very, very different place. You are not just utilizing and training your mind. You are learning. It's a whole body, it's a whole energy learning, and learning in a way that you then create these new realities, these new things, new worlds, new life on a continual basis, new experiences. And so there are so many different, these kind of little or big things that are now part of your life, and you realize that they are something that you need to continually nurture, allow them to develop, allow them to become part of your life, and think, right, so from now on, this is how it is. I'm just okay with things changing all the time. I am just okay with being able to perceive myself as something today. And then all of a sudden that you realize that particular project finishes and you let it go. And your identification with it, let it go, is let go of, you see. But in the previous, in the past life, now you can say the old life, the old earth as your past life. In a way, you see, you were identifying yourself with certain things for such a long time. You would create a career perhaps, and this is who you were, and you wouldn't let that go. But now, because you know yourself from I am that I am point of view, as of being everything and nothing, being this I am. You see, everything you put on top, it's just, you realize it's just temporary, and it is also all of the same value, you see, from this place. Because it is all you don't value parts of yourself less, and other parts more, because it is all you, because it is all your energy. And the energy, you can't say, well, this energy is bad and this energy is good, because energy keeps changing, and then it goes into neutral, and then it creates something new. So what you call as bad energy, it becomes a really, really meaningless thing. So many things become very meaningless. And this is another one of those skills, to be okay when you realize, wow, this something that I used to think was very, very important is now completely meaningless. And again, you utilize that ability where you just say, okay, this is meaningless. I let it go. I let it go. And you can make little rituals if you like. Some of you, we know that you like these rituals, or perhaps, for important things, you create those rituals when you do a little dance or a little ritual to say goodbye to things. This is completely up to you, you see, because this is one of those other things that in the old life of the old earth, you thought it was, the power was in the rituals to be able to let things go. But now you know that the power is in you. And we mean that power, by power, we mean the ability. The ability, um, perhaps these are not the right words. It is this ability to, you have, you are that ability that makes things go and change, and things, that it's not the ritual that has that power. You see, this is very, very different than people that are still in the mass consciousness. And this also, we know that for some of you, you're still having a bit of trouble with that, because you are realizing more and more just how different you are, just how incredibly different you are to those that are in the mass consciousness. And when you have your families and your kids, perhaps your partners, your parents, your close ones, your friends that are still so caught in that way of thinking, there is also that sadness and that loneliness that you go through. And then you also have those experiences where you realize, not the loneliness changes into those feeling of sovereignty, when you come into that um, place where you realize, wow, I am that I am. And that is a lot of pleasure, and that is so much, um, being able to revel, being able to enjoy in this experience, where you realize, I am that I am. I am that I am. In all that that means. And in loneliness, what used to be loneliness becomes pleasure, because from there, you can then interact with others in a very, very different way. And yet, still, there is a part that always can feel a bit sad when you realize the huge change difference. And for some people, for some of those people that are, in the mass consciousness, we now know that for in this lifetime they will not change, they will not take on, many people will not. You see, there are a lot of things that were unknown before, and for all of us this is a good thing that things are unknown. We do like it. We like life when not everything is known and things keep changing. So, what we can't say 10 years, we're not going to even try to predict what's going to happen in 10 years. But a lot of people will shift, will disappear from your life, will move on, will there's huge changes that are happening and that are coming still as this divide grows bigger. But this divide is really not, it's much more smoother than what at certain times in the past was feared. You see, because it was feared that some dramatic things will happen. Not no dramatic things will happen. Even though, like, some people think, okay, COVID is fairly dramatic. It's changed a lot of people's lives. It's changed a lot, and it has its own function. But what we mean is that these changes, these transitions of who's choosing what and what they're choosing to work with, what they're choosing to do, are happening in a much more graceful way than what was perhaps by some parts even feared. And this all has to do with you, with each and every one of you, with your graciousness, because you, in your incredible charity, abundance, in your incredible compassion for the world, for other people, for everything alive, you have always made sure that you have smoothed out those things, and so to allow other people options, to allow other people choices in your grace, in your incredible this charity towards others. You have created in such a way, even if at times it will perhaps was more painful for you and slower for you, but you have made sure, because you don't like to see suffering unnecessarily, you made sure to create your new world, in such a way that it is so gracious and graceful and allowing of others who are choosing differently to transition, to coexist in a very comfortable way. And this is something that you have got so much honor and respect in the whole of creation for how you've pulled this off. Because this was not known, it was not known how it's going to work. As you know, it was perhaps hoped that there would be one new earth, and now there are many new earths just for that reason. There are many new earths. Some new earths are very much like old earth, not because they're so dense, but because of the people that were choosing to have similar experiences, like as to what they had on the old earth. And yet, even within those worlds, there are choices, and there was a fast track to changes, to integration. And you, each and every one of you, made sure of that. And this is this huge heart of compassion that each and every one of you has. And so we have come to the end of this show. We believe that we have covered, and we believe that we have loved, and we believe that we have danced with you today, regardless of what day it is for you. And Feel our gratitude, feel our love, feel our compassion, feel our joy, and feel our dance. Feel our play, our playfulness, and feel how we are celebrating with you all of these changes, all of these experiences that each and every one of you is experiencing, is going through, is living. You have no idea just how many cosmic books you are writing. And so it is. Thank you, dear ones.